1066. The beginning of England's royal line. We have to start somewhere. Yes, there were kings before this, mini-kingdoms, druids, and even Pangaea if we go back far enough. But for modern British royalty, 1066 is the cleanest starting point. That year, William the Conqueror invaded England in what history calls the Norman Conquest. Norman, for all practical purposes, means French. Like many rulers of the medieval world, William had many children, but history only remembers the ones who mattered for the crown. 3 are important: William II, Henry I, Adela. At this stage, royal succession had rules, but they were flexible at best. The crown usually went to the eldest son, but in practice it often went to whoever had the biggest army. The first succession chaos. When William the Conqueror died, William II became king. He never married, and during a hunting trip with his brother Henry, William II died in what was officially labeled a hunting accident. Conveniently, Henry I took the throne. Henry I had at least 26 children, but only 2 were legitimate. His only legitimate son died in a shipwreck, so Henry did something radical for the time. He named his daughter Empress Matilda as his heir and forced his nobles to swear loyalty to her. However, when Henry I died, Matilda was in France. Her cousin Stephen moved faster, reached Westminster first, and crowned himself king, proving once again that speed and soldiers mattered more than promises. Civil war and compromise. Matilda returned and launched a civil war that lasted nearly 2 decades. Neither side could decisively win. Castles were strong, sieges were slow, and medieval turtling was an effective strategy. Matilda ruled parts of England but was never officially crowned, leaving her status disputed. Eventually, a compromise was reached. Stephen would remain king, but his successor would be Matilda's son, Henry II. The Plantagenets and the rule of 2. Henry II had 4 sons: Henry the young king, Richard the Lionheart, Geoffrey, John. To avoid another succession crisis, Henry II tried something new. He crowned Henry the young king as co-king while still alive. It was meant to stabilize the monarchy. Instead, it caused rebellion. Henry the young king revolted with his brothers. The result? Henry the young king died of dysentery. Henry II died of illness. Richard I, the Lionheart, became king. After Richard came King John, whose reign forced the signing of the Magna Carta, limiting royal power. From Edwards to deposition, the crown then passed smoothly for once. John Henry III. Henry III Edward I, Longshanks. Edward I Edward II. Edward II was overthrown by his wife, Isabella of France, known as the She-Wolf of France. She ruled as regent for their son, Edward III. Edward III had 5 sons, none of whom would inherit the throne directly. When he died, the crown passed to his grandson, Richard II. Richard II was eventually overthrown by Henry IV, proving yet again that monarchy often ends the same way: force. The Wars of the Roses. What followed was the Wars of the Roses, a dynastic conflict between descendants of Edward III. The shortest possible version: Henry VI Edward IV Henry VI Edward IV. Eventually, Edward IV died, leaving his crown to his 12-year-old son Edward V. Edward V disappeared. His uncle took the throne as Richard III. The Tudors' rise. Richard III didn't rule for long. He was defeated by Henry VII, a distant descendant of Edward III, who secured legitimacy by marrying Elizabeth of York. Henry VII's son was Henry VIII, the king who broke from the Catholic Church, created the Church of England, married 6 times. Henry VIII formalized succession rules: sons first, daughters only if no sons exist. Parliament approved these rules. Problem solved? Not even close. Queens, coups, and confusion. Henry VIII's son Edward VI inherited the throne at 9. Before dying at 15, Edward ignored his father's rules and named Lady Jane Grey as queen. She ruled for 9 days. She was executed by Mary I, England's first undisputed reigning queen. Mary had no children. The crown passed to Elizabeth I. Elizabeth ruled brilliantly, but never married and had no heirs. England faced another succession crisis. Enter Scotland. The solution came from Scotland. Through dynastic marriages, James VI of Scotland, a descendant of Henry VIII's sister, had the strongest claim. In 1603, he became James I of England, uniting the crowns. Civil War and Restoration. James's son, Charles I, clashed with Parliament. He lost. Charles I was executed, and England became a republic under Oliver Cromwell, titled Lord Protector, a position suspiciously similar to a king. After Cromwell's death, the monarchy was restored under Charles II. Charles II had no legitimate children. The crown passed to his brother James II, a Catholic, deeply unpopular in Protestant England. The Glorious Revolution. James II was replaced without a major war. Parliament invited his Protestant daughter Mary and her husband William of Orange to rule. James fled. William and Mary ruled jointly, followed by Queen Anne, who had 17 pregnancies but no surviving heirs. The final fix. Parliament finally acted decisively. They reset the monarchy's legal foundation, naming Sophia of Hanover, granddaughter of James I, as the new starting point for succession, strictly Protestant. These rules finally stuck. The modern line. From there, succession became stable. George I, George II, George III, George IV, William IV, Queen Victoria. Victoria ruled for over 63 years and reshaped the monarchy. After her, Edward VII. George. Edward VIII, who abdicated to marry an American divorcee. George VI. Elizabeth II. In 2015, Elizabeth II became the longest reigning monarch in world history.